In the next 18 months, the biggest wealth transfer in 75 years will happen. Millions will lose everything. A few will become generationally wealthy. The difference: 5 things you're buying right now that are quietly destroying your financial future. Ray Dalio predicted the 2008 crash. He manages $124 billion and has studied every major economic collapse across 500 years. And right now, his research shows people are making the same 5 costly mistakes that destroy wealth in every debt crisis. Here's what the data shows. We are in stage 7 of an 8-stage debt cycle. U.S. total debt is roughly $90 trillion. The government spends over $1 trillion annually just on interest, more than defense for the first time in history. When stage 8 hits, it's too late to prepare. But if you understand what's coming and stop buying these 5 things today, you'll be positioned on the winning side of the transfer. Before we show you exactly what they are, hit that subscribe button. Now, what you're about to learn could be the difference between financial survival and financial destruction. Now, let me tell you about a painful lesson from Dalio's own experience. In 1982, he publicly predicted a depression. He was certain. He was confident. He went on television. He told his clients, "You bet everything on being right." And he was completely wrong. The economy boomed. The market went up. His clients left. His reputation was destroyed. He had to borrow $4,000 from his father just to pay his bills. He had a wife and 2 young children, and he didn't know how he was going to support them. That failure became the foundation of his success. It taught him to stop making predictions and start studying patterns, to look at what has happened in similar situations throughout history instead of betting on what might happen. And when you study spending patterns across every major debt crisis, 5 categories destroy more wealth than anything else. These aren't small mistakes. These are systematic errors that guarantee you'll be on the losing side of the wealth transfer. Let's examine exactly what they are. Here's what most people don't understand about cars. A car is not transportation. It's a transfer of wealth from your pocket to the dealership's pocket. The arithmetic is simple and brutal. You buy a new car for $50,000. The moment you drive it off the lot, it's worth $40,000. You just lost $10,000 in 10 minutes. By year 3, that car is worth $25,000. You've lost 50% of your capital. But here's what really destroys people. They finance these cars. They take out loans at 6-7% interest to buy something that's losing value at 15 to 20% annually. This is called underwater debt. You owe more than the asset is worth. And when the crisis hits, when you need liquidity, you're trapped. Research shows a simple alternative. Buy a 3-year-old certified pre-owned vehicle. Let somebody else take the blunt. Depreciation hit. You get reliable transportation for half the cost. When Dalio was building his first company, he drove a beat-up old car that barely ran. Did it hurt his ego? Maybe a little. Did it hurt his ability to compound capital? Not at all. And that's the principle most people miss. Every dollar you waste on depreciation is a dollar that can't compound. It's a dollar stolen from your future self. The wealthy understand something that everyone else ignores. They don't spend money to look successful. They spend money to become successful. There's a profound difference. Here's the mathematical reality. That $50,000 you spend on a new car invested at 10% for 20 years becomes $336,000. You're not buying a car. You're trading $250,000 in future wealth for temporary status. Here's exactly what to do this week. Visit CarMax or check Carbon online. Search for 3-year-old Honda Accords, Toyota Camry, or Mazda CX-5s. Filter for vehicles under 30,000 miles with clean maintenance records. You'll find excellent vehicles for $22,000 to $28,000. The same car, new cost $45,000 to $50,000. That's a $23,000 difference. Take that money and open a brokerage account at Vanguard or Fidelity. Put it in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Let that money compound while your neighbors watch their new cars depreciate. This is where people make their first critical mistake, and it sets the pattern for every other bad financial decision they make. Which brings us to the second catastrophic decision. One that's even more dangerous because society tells you it's smart. Now this one upsets people because we've been fed a lie for generations. Your home is your biggest asset. Wrong. Your home is your biggest liability. Let's examine something fundamental. An asset puts money in your pocket every month. A liability takes money out of your pocket every month. Your house takes money out every month. Mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, repairs. It's a money pit. And the bigger the house, the bigger the pit. But doesn't real estate always go up in value? Let's look at what happened in Japan. In 1989, Japanese real estate was the most valuable in the world. Tokyo land prices were so high that the Imperial Palace grounds were theoretically worth more than all the real estate in California. Everyone believed Japanese real estate could never fall. It was an island nation with limited land and wealthy population. The fundamentals seemed solid. Then the bubble popped. Real estate prices fell for 20 consecutive years, peak to trough. Residential real estate lost 60 to 70% of its value. Someone who bought a house in 1989 thinking it was the safest investment wouldn't break even until 2020. 30 years of zero returns while paying a mortgage, property taxes, and maintenance on an underwater asset. That's what over-leveraging on housing looks like when the debt cycle ends. The same pattern happened in America. People who bought in 2007 watched their home values collapse 40% by 2011. Real estate goes up sometimes in some markets, if you're lucky. But even when it does go up, you can't access that equity without selling or taking out more debt. And here's something about debt that most people fundamentally misunderstand. Debt is a tool that makes rich people richer and poor people poorer. When investors borrow money to buy productive assets that generate cash flow, that's good debt. When you borrow money to buy the biggest house you can possibly afford, that's bad debt. You're leveraging to acquire a liability that drains cash flow. Here's what destroys wealth. People stretch themselves to buy the maximum house the bank will approve. The bank says you can afford $500,000, so you buy a $500,000 house. That's financial suicide. Do you know how much you actually pay for a $500,000 house with a 30-year mortgage at 7%? Over $1.1 million. When you factor in the interest, you're paying $600,000 extra just for the privilege of borrowing money. That's not building wealth. That's transferring wealth from your pocket to the bank's pocket for 30 years. Here's the alternative strategy. Buy half the house the bank says you can afford. If they approve you for $500,000, buy a $250,000 house. It doesn't matter if it's smaller. It doesn't matter if it doesn't have granite countertops. Buy the house you need, not the house society tells you should want. Then take all that extra money you're saving every month and invest it. Put it in businesses with pricing power. Buy dividend-paying stocks. Fill the portfolio of assets that actually put money in your pocket instead of taking it out. Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. Why? Because he understands opportunity cost. Every dollar spent on an unnecessarily big house is a dollar that can't compound in your investment portfolio. And opportunity cost is the silent killer of wealth. This principle becomes even more critical when you understand where we are in the debt cycle. We're 12 to 24 months away from a major deleveraging. When that hits, housing markets and over-leveraged states will face severe pressure. Position yourself to be a buyer in the crisis, not a casualty. And the only way to do that is to stop over-leveraging on housing right now. Now let's examine the third wealth killer, something people dismiss as small, but the arithmetic is absolutely devastating. This one sounds small, but the arithmetic is devastating. We're talking about restaurants, takeout, coffee shops, delivery apps. Most people are bleeding money on food and don't even realize it. Let's examine the numbers. The average American household spends over $3,000 a year eating out. Do you know what $3,000 invested annually for 30 years becomes at 10% return? Over $500,000. That's trading $500,000 in retirement wealth for convenience and meals you'll forget about tomorrow. But here's what's most concerning. People say they don't have money to invest. Then they spend $15 on lunch every single day. That's $75 a week, $325 a month, almost $4,000 a year. The money exists. It's just being spent on things that disappear instead of things that compound. The alternative isn't complicated. Cook at home most of the time. Meal prep on Sundays. Pack your lunch. Make your coffee at home. These aren't sacrifices. These are intelligent financial decisions. These are the behaviors that separate people who build wealth from people who stay broke their entire lives. Wealthy people understand the value of a dollar. Most people think small expenses don't matter. But small expenses become massive expenses over time through lifestyle inflation. You start spending $15 on lunch. Then it becomes $20 because you deserve it. Then you're adding dinners out twice a week because you're tired. Before you know it, you're spending $7,000 a year on food you could have made at home for $2,000. That $5,000 difference compounded over 30 years at 10% is almost $900,000. You're literally consuming your retirement. The principle here is delayed gratification. Research shows that great investing demands delayed gratification. You have to be able to say no today so you can say yes to financial independence tomorrow. Before we continue to the fourth and fifth wealth killers, do this right now. Pull out your phone, open your banking app, look at your transactions from the last 30 days. Count how many purchases you made on food and dining. Write that number in the comments below. Most people are shocked when they actually count. This awareness alone could save you thousands this year. Now let's examine the fourth destroyer, which goes deeper than just buying things. It's about the psychology of consumption itself. This goes deeper than just buying expensive clothes. This is about the mentality of consumption. We live in a society designed to make people feel inadequate. The fashion industry, the tech industry, the entire advertising complex. Their business model is making you believe what you have isn't good enough. New phone every year, new outfit for every occasion. Upgrade, update, replace. It's a trap designed to keep you spending and keep you poor. Here's the truth about status spending. Nobody cares what you're wearing as much as you think they do. And the people who are judging you based on material possessions are people whose opinions should matter. Research shows what actually impresses successful people. Understanding of compound interest, grasp of economic cycles, ability to delay gratification and make systematic decisions. Not watches, not shoes, not handbags. Here's what wealthy people actually do. They buy quality items that last. They wear them until they wear out. They don't care about trends. They don't care about impressing strangers. A good suit, quality shoes, a reliable watch. Buy once, buy quality, and move on with life. Your money has better places to be than in some corporation's pocket because they convinced you that you need their product to feel valuable. You don't. Your value has nothing to do with what you wear and everything to do with what you build. This is about conquering envy. Someone will always have nicer things than you, always. And that's not a tragedy. The tragedy is letting that fact derail your financial plan. Studies show that when people stop measuring themselves against others and start measuring themselves against their own principles, their own goals, their own timeline, the psychological pressure evaporates and they can finally focus on what actually matters. Building wealth, not looking wealthy. Here's the arithmetic. The average American spends roughly $2,000 a year on clothing. Over 30 years at 10%, that's $328,000. Add in money spent on upgrading phones unnecessarily, buying new gadgets, purchasing the latest everything. For many households, this is another $2,000 to $3,000 annually. Now you're at $4,000 to $5,000 a year. Over 30 years, that's $650,000 to $820,000. 34 of $1 million spent on things that make you feel successful for a few weeks before you forget about them. That's not living well. That's financial destruction disguised as lifestyle. This connects directly to the fifth and final wealth killer, which might be the most insidious because it's completely invisible until you look for it. This might be the most insidious wealth destroyer because it's automatic. It's invisible. It's a slow leak in your bank account. Gym memberships never used. Streaming services forgotten. Apps with monthly fees. Premium subscriptions for things available for free. Software not needed. $10 here, $15 there. It doesn't feel meaningful in the moment, but it adds up to hundreds of dollars every month, thousands every year. And over a lifetime, it's catastrophic. Do this right now. Pull out your bank statement. Look at all the recurring charges. How many are you actually using? How many provide value that exceeds their cost? Research shows most households are paying for at least 3 to 5 subscriptions they completely forgot about. Cancel them today, not tomorrow, today. This is free money being given away to companies betting you're too lazy to cancel. Don't let them win. But here's the bigger issue. These subscriptions represent a mindset. The idea that you need constant entertainment, constant access, constant stimulation. You don't. You need to build wealth. You need to invest in your future. Every dollar going to a subscription service barely used is a dollar not compounding. It's a dollar stolen from your financial independence. Here's a real example. Someone discovered they were paying for a gym membership they hadn't used in 2 years, $75 a month. They also had 4 streaming services, but only regularly watched one. Another $60 a month, plus a meal kit subscription they used once a month. $90 software subscriptions for apps they downloaded once. Another $40, total $265 a month they weren't even aware of. That's $35, $180 a year over 30 years at 10% returns. That's $523,000. Over $500,000 spent on subscriptions providing minimal value. The solution is simple. Once a quarter on the first day of January, April, July, and October, review all subscriptions for each one. Ask, have I used this in the last 90 days? Does it provide value worth the cost? Would I sign up for this again today if I didn't already have it? If the answer to any of those questions is no, cancel immediately. For most people, this quarterly view saves $1,500 to $3,000 annually. And that money invested consistently compounds into hundreds of thousands over a lifetime. Now let's bring all 5 of these wealth killers together and understand why this matters more over the next 18 months than ever before. Let's bring this together and show you why these 5 behaviors matter more right now than at any time in your life. Stop buying depreciating vehicles you can't afford. Stop over-leveraging yourself on housing. Stop unconscious daily spending on food and consumption. Stop status spending and lifestyle competition. Stop bleeding money through forgotten subscriptions. These 5 things are the difference between financial survival and financial destruction over the next 18 months. Dalio's research across 500 years of history shows this clearly. The Dutch Empire in the 1600s, the British Empire in the 1930s, Latin America in the 1980s, Japan in the 1990s, the United States in 2008. Every major economy eventually reaches a point where debt becomes unsustainable. We're at that point right now. Total U.S. debt exceeds $90 trillion. The federal government has $38 trillion in debt. Interest payments exceed $1 trillion annually. These numbers are no longer sustainable. And when debt cycles end, 3 things always happen: defaults, restructuring, or inflation, every single time throughout history. There's no 4th auction. And in every case, the people with capital survive and prosper. The people without capital get destroyed. Here's what happened in the 1970s inflation crisis. Stocks went essentially nowhere for a decade. But when adjusted for inflation running at 7 to 9% annually, real purchasing power for stock investors declined by over 50%. But the people who would live below their means, who had avoided these 5 wealth killers, they accumulated assets at buy or sale prices. And by the 1990s, they were generationally wealthy, while their neighbors were still working. The exact same pattern played out in 2008. People who were over-leveraged got destroyed, lost their homes, lost their jobs, had to sell assets at the worst possible time. The people who had lived conservatively, who had capital ready, they bought foreclosed houses at 30 cents on the dollar. They bought stocks when the market was down 50%. and within 5 years they doubled or tripled their wealth. The pattern never changes. Economic cycles are machines. They operate based on principles, and the principles don't care about feelings or excuses. It's not about salary. History shows people making $40,000 a year building serious wealth because they understood these principles, and people making $200,000 a year living paycheck to paycheck because they refused to learn. The choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing and stay exactly where you are, or you can make hard decisions, cut the waste, and start building real wealth. It's not complicated. It's just uncomfortable. And most people choose comfort over wealth every single time. Don't be most people. The window is closing. Analysis shows we're in stage 7 of an 8-stage debt cycle. In 12 to 18 months, we'll be in stage 8, and by then it's too late. The people who act now will survive. The people who hesitate will become casualties. It's that simple. It's that brutal. Now, if this video changed how you think about money, hit that like button right now. Leave a comment below and tell us which of these 5 things hit hardest. Be honest, we're all learning here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. This channel exists to show you the patterns that everyone else ignores, the principles that separate winners from casualties in every economic cycle. Now go protect your wealth.